All right, cool. Welcome to Blerd Culture issue number 5. All right. We're Nerd is the New Black. I'm Troy, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Ethan.
Aloha all.
And Sean.
Two turtle doves and a partridge.
Join us as we discuss the blurriest topics on a bi-weekly basis. This week is our Captain America Civil War extravaganza! 2 yells for the price of 1. This week's show, we praise the 13th installment in the Marvel movie franchise, discuss the new Han Solo and his ability to shoot first, whether or not the Power Ranger costumes are all that bad, and try to get through all the new first-person shooter game news without making a single Pokemon reference. But we will first start out with the character Chronicles, where each week we will give a bio on an important Black character and the impact they've made on the medium, whether it be in TV, comics, or video games. This week, Sean tackles Sam Wilson, aka Falcon.
All right, here we go. So this week I am doing Falcon, as Troy said, is also known as Sam Wilson. Falcon is the first Black superhero to not have the word Black in his name, a la Black Panther or Black Lightning. So that's fun. Falcon made his first appearance in Captain America number 117 in 1969, which is still relatively early for a Black superhero. It was only 3 years removed from Black Panther's premiere. In an attempt to defeat in an attempt to use Sam as a opponent to defeat Captain America, Red Skull used a powerful item called a cosmic cube to grant Sam the ability to telepathically communicate with his pet Falcon Redwing. Once Red Skull's plan backfired and Sam used his ability to rescue Captain America instead of taking him down, a new partnership was born. Falcon originally donned the classic Black superhero costume styling of the area with the brightly colored disco-inspired deep V-neck outfit in a bright, beautiful green. Over the years, Falcon's ability to telepathically communicate with his Falcon Redwing has expanded significantly, such that not only can he now communicate with any bird within an unknown radius, but he's also able to receive mental images of what birds are able to see. Initially, Falcon was primarily a hand-to-hand combatant, having been trained by Captain America with the occasional assistance of his Falcon Redwing. This was until our boy Black Panther provided Sam with the Wakandan technology, which enabled him to fly. And now we have the Falcon that we know and love today.
Awesome.
Notably, when Steve Rogers' super soldier syndrome was neutralized and he rapidly aged to his chronicle age of old as hell, and he could no longer perform as Captain America, Sam Wilson replaced him and became the first Black Captain America. Falcon is currently being portrayed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Anthony Mackie. So in honor of that, I have a few fun movie facts about Falcon.
Awesome.
First up, Falcon's costume is not the classic red in the films because the Russo brothers, who directed the films that Falcon is in, actually hate the comic book incarnation of that costume. Fun fact, they also hate the Falcon's pet, Falcon Redwing. So it's interesting, something that happened in the new movie. Anyway, next up, Anthony Mackie petitioned for 5 years to Marvel to play Black Panther before he finally agreed to play an unnamed character in Captain America Winter Soldier when he finally met the Russo brothers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then my favorite fun fact is that Anthony Mackie worked out for 5 months to get in shape for this role as Falcon, so he was very disappointed when he found out that he would not get to wear spandex. He did, however, say that the military-inspired costume that he wore was, quote, dope.
Oh, okay, cool. Just out of curiosity, do you guys think that Anthony could? Do you think he has the skill to play Captain America in future movies if they continue on with them?
Yes. Yeah. I absolutely do. I think I like his chemistry with Steve Rogers, and I feel like ever since Winter Soldier, he was a major contributing factor as to why I enjoyed that movie so much.
Oh, nice.
And that has a lot to do with the actor and his choices that he made in making it kind of round out the whole Steve Rogers, Bucky Barnes kind of parallel with Steve Rogers and the the Falcon in terms of friendship, and I am very much interested in his story.
Me too.
Yeah.
Cool. Sean, you saying the same thing too?
Yeah, no, I absolutely think so. I have been very impressed with Anthony Mackie's portrayal as Falcon in these movies. I wasn't too sure what to expect, just with him coming in Winter Soldier, and he's blown me away, especially in the most recent Civil War movie.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I would be, I could tell within Winter Soldier, I think he would be a dope. He could be a dope Captain America if they do play it out right. But you know how Marvel is about leads. Anyhow, so that was our character chronicles. Now for Planet Bugle, latest news and rumors in the nerdtainment industry, handed to us by Perry White. Starting with me and my news on Supergirl's second season. So Supergirl seems to be in a bit of trouble picking up a second season as CBS mulls over if it's actually worth it. The ratings weren't awful, but not necessarily what they hoped for going forward with the show. Because it's a partnership with the CW, there seems to be hope that it may be moved to their channel with a much lower budget, obviously. I just, coming out of this, I mean, yeah, Supergirl had its ups and downs. I did enjoy the season more than I didn't enjoy it. But I mean, I would hope it gets a second season. Honestly, the way that show is built, outside of the special effects they use, it kind of would fit much more easier in CW. But what do you guys think?
Oh, I absolutely agree. I always felt it was slightly misplaced on CBS, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I always felt that it was slightly misplaced on CBS, especially because DC is sort of doing this TV thing, and I always thought that it should have just kind of gone with its contemporaries, Arrow and Flash, and just the style of the show, the sort of comedy that they're doing, the action that they're doing, is very much in CW's most recent wheelhouse.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm definitely a fan of Supergirl. I feel like it had more positives than it had negative. I feel like it had a lot going against it, and considering that, they did a very good job. I mean, you know, when it comes to having to deal with a female superhero lead, when it deals with, you know, not really being able to fully use Superman in the way that I'm sure that they wanted to, and having to work around that. And of course, it didn't always work, but it's a valiant effort. And once again, I feel like that they did more things well than they did bad. It definitely feels more in line with the CW. Honestly, I forget that CBS is a station sometimes.
It tends to be for like older crowds.
Yeah, because don't they have like the NCIS and like
4 different versions of NCIS?
Right, yeah. I've never seen a single episode.
It's been like that. That's been like the highest rated show on TV for years.
That baffles me.
Yeah,
but in any case, I definitely feel like Supergirl has such potential. Where they left off and where the potential is for the show to go, I think is actually pretty great. Like just looking at it, like you had Martian Manhunter, Red Tornado. Like this show is incorporating heroes that I really did not think I would see like on the television screen in live action in such an overtly comic book way. Not, hey, I am Martian Manhunter, but I'm never going to change into him, so don't worry. This show feels almost unabashedly comic book, and that's what I feel like we need more of. So I'm definitely on Team Supergirl.
Sure. I mean, but if I can play devil's advocate, there was plenty of things in that season that was like, I can tell CBS had its hands in trying to make it more reachable to their audience, their primary audience. And so it'll be a good for CW, but it's kind of, it's like a weird back and forth, because I mean, now with that outlet with CBS, like you have a bunch of people that are introduced to Martian Manhunter and Red Tornado and Maxwell Lords. But now with CW, it's already a click DC type thing that all these characters are going to be relegated to. I mean, honestly, with CW and the way their budget is, we might not see Martian Manhunter because they were very strict about putting him in that costume, or in the CGI'd out costume on CBS. So we'll see. But I'm hopeful though. I mean, it hasn't. It's just a rumor that it's going to CW. It's not in any way, shape, or form secured yet. But it's still really telling that they've waited this long and decided to renew it.
That's true.
I also have to say that CW has a bit of a track record for telling stories from the female perspective in a successful way. They've done The 100 most recently, which is not getting enough love. That is such a good show.
I agree.
They did Vampire Diaries. They did Gossip Girl. They've done so many TV shows from the female perspective that we don't often see, and they've consistently done it well.
Yeah.
And told me stories that we don't see as often.
Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess we'll see. Cross your fingers.
Yeah, they're crossed.
They are. I can see them, Sean.
All right. Next up, it was recently announced that Netflix has ordered a 10-episode series of Dear White People, an adaptation of the 2014 film by the same name. For those who missed it, Dear White People is a satirical drama which tells the story of a group of minority students navigating life on an overwhelmingly white Ivy League campus. Using her talk radio show called Dear White People, the main character, Sam, played by Tessa Thompson, expresses her grievances with the racist transgressions she experiences with white students on campus. In response to Sam's outspoken radio show, a white student and his friends throw a blackface party, and conflict ensues. Note this sort of blackface party thing is a thing that actually happens in real life.
True.
So the cool thing about Dear White People is that it's probably the closest thing we've had to like a Spike Lee joint in a long time. That alongside with Dope, it's just telling like black stories from a black perspective in a way that we don't ever see. But the reason it resonated so much with me is because I went to an extremely white university. And I experienced a lot of sort of racial tension for the first time growing up in a very racially mixed environment, going to the school with nothing but white people who've never met any black people, never seen any black people, and feeling like I didn't have anybody to connect to. And then going through my sort of my black awakening that the main character Sam goes through, where I just became like unnecessarily militant about everything black all the time.
I can't.
Like I was getting very close early on. So this movie and the story that it tells really resonated with me. So I'm looking forward to it becoming a TV show. You guys have any thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited. Like, it's weird because like with this, Netflix has another show coming out this summer, and it's about like the 70s, like Afrocentric type party thing, and it actually has a dude from Dope in it and Jaden Smith and like a bunch of other people, and it's kind of cool that it's weird that Netflix is the one that's trying to push the boundaries of all of these things, especially with like Orange is the New Black, because I never knew about like the prison.
It's by the same production company, Lionsgate, as Orange is the New Black. Yeah,
with Sense8, and they're pushing like all types of sexuality and how we're all a lot more alike than we think we are. And then with this, it's weird. It's not weird, but it's kind of awesome that they are. Netflix in general is just an awesome company. It's just they're like really good on treating their workers correctly, and they just have a good head on their shoulders. They know where to move forward and what to attack with things. So I can't wait for it. I mean, if I would say anything, it kind of sucks that Tessa Thompson's probably not going to be in it,
right?
And the dude from Everybody Hates Chris isn't going to be in it either. But no, I'm definitely going to tune into it.
Yeah, I'm very happy about this. I think that this type of show and message does need to get out, and Netflix feels like the perfect platform for that. As Troy kind of mentioned, Netflix is kind of the forerunner when it comes to media of not necessarily dissenting agendas, but non-quote unquote mainstream. But I feel like clearly with their success, they're showing that there's an absolute market for this type of show. Because you have Orange is the New Black, you have Sense8, these things that definitely push the boundaries of what's normally accepted for television. And I think this type of story we don't oftentimes get to see. It's still today unheard of. Like Dope, as you mentioned.
It's complete reality. It's something that we go through every day, but you don't see it.
Yeah, exactly. It's the whole like dog whistle politics type of situation that of course we in the know but those outside don't see it, and as a result we don't see that reflected in television. Exactly. And so it's just, I feel like, an awesome opportunity for light to be shed onto this, and I'm very hopeful for it.
Right.
So
I do want to say that, like, I'm a bit of a masochist, and so I tend to read internet comments a lot. And so I made the mistake of reading internet comments multiple times on the news stories I was reading about this Dear White People actual TV show. And of course, there are plenty of people who have not seen the movie, have no idea what it's about, make the very rudimentary assumption that this film's message is black people are good, white people are bad, which is the farthest thing from the message. It's so much deeper than that, and it's insulting to assume that just because you want to feel offended, you want to feel like you get to be included in racism for one reason or another. But yeah, so for that reason, I'm happy that the show is coming, because it's like they think we're going to do this anyway because this story needs to be told.
Exactly. No, and what makes it worse is that that movie is the furthest thing from like, I mean, what they think, and because of the title and because they pre-assume that it's going to be that, when they go into the movie, they're going to find that it's still a bad movie outside of that. So
yeah, like the thing is like I do my best not to read internet comments because I already know what people are going to say. Like who's going to say, why is there not a show called Dear Black People?
And they did.
Exactly. This is why I don't read internet comics, because it's so typical that it like bores me, you know? So my whole theory is that, like, try to piss off as much people as you can and take enjoyment from that. because you know, people are going to be people and ridiculous, so you just have to keep doing you.
Yep.
I got you. Yeah.
Yep. And not talking about race is not going to make racism go away. It's only going to make it worse. So
that's true.
Let's keep talking about it. Let's make sure that people who don't hear about it know that they have to hear about it.
We are not post-racial. That's not a thing.
References.
Now on to more white people news. I'm kidding. We have a new Han Solo, you guys. I'm going to butcher this man's name, so we're just going to go ahead and do it. We have Mr. Alden Ehrenreich.
I think it's Ehrenreich.
Okay. Was officially announced as Han Solo in 2018's Han Solo origin story. His biggest credit to date was him playing Hobie Doyle in the Coen Brothers Hail Caesar film. And my thing with him is either you're gonna like this movie or you're not gonna like this movie. Like, there was nobody that they could cast where people were gonna be okay with. So I'm kind of glad they kind of got an unknown dude to play with him, because the other choices were like Miles Teller and Dave Franco and the dude from Kingsman, whose name excuse me for right now.
Something
I think it's Aaron Eckerton. I'm gonna butcher that name and look up later. But yeah, so yeah, it's supposed to come out 2000. Yeah, 2000. Oh, there it is, Taron Egerton. 2018, and they don't have a director attached to it. Actually, no, they do. I apologize. The guys who directed the Lego Movie have written and are writing and directing the movie. It's, I mean, honestly, cool, I guess. Me personally, I didn't think he needed an origin story. It would have been cool for Orlando Calrissian one, but I mean, what can you do? And what do you guys think?
I don't find myself too excited for this. I mean, I'm I'm probably still going to see it. It just doesn't strike me yet, and perhaps I might need to see a trailer first or get more details about it. But you know, when I think of Star Wars, Han Solo's style of story doesn't intrigue me as the main plot.
Okay.
And I think that's kind of where I'm coming from. Like, I'm hopeful and expectant, but as a very particular Star Wars fan, this doesn't really speak to it. Honestly feels like they're capitalizing on Han Solo, which clearly they are. Clearly it's, you know, part of the business. But that doesn't really appeal to me all that much.
Right. So I am sort of a different mind with that. I actually really enjoy the idea of Han Solo's backstory. My issue with Han Solo was always what's his name? What's his player?
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford. My issue was always that Harrison Ford's acting choices in that role were always a little bit weird. They always felt forced and like he was sort of over it and like he thought the whole thing was silly, which I I mean, I know he did. He wanted to be killed off in like the second movie.
Yeah.
But I always did love the Han Solo character, just not Harrison Ford's acting choices. So I'm looking forward to seeing someone else portray him, although it's going to be hard to accept a different person in that role.
Exactly.
Sure.
And I can't remember. There's a spoiler. Dang it. All right, never mind. I wanted to say something so cool just now, but it dealt with the Civil War spoilers. So I can't say it. But yeah, I'm gonna. They literally have a Star Wars movie coming out for the next like 6 years, so I'm gonna see all of them. Yeah.
Cool. So up next is Power Rangers movie news.
Go Power Rangers!
Go Power Rangers!
All right.
Was not expecting that, but I'm happy I got it. So the revival will be hitting theaters next year in 2017. Information has been pretty scarce, but in the last couple of months, there has been new information coming out. For example, we have a first official pic of Elizabeth Banks as Rita Repulsa in all her green glory. We have the cast that's set out. And then just this week, we got to see their new power suits. And so they have traded in their Lycra for these for this. And I really like how the suits look. Like there's a sort of like sleekness to the design. It definitely looks powerful. My only kind of concern was that as it relates to like the actual fighting of it, I don't really imagine these suits being that flexible to do the type of martial arts that Power Rangers is known for. Aside from that, like I know that the fan response has been pretty split and divisive. Some people love it, some people hate it. I mean, ultimately, I think some people are just like, if it's not the original, then I hate it, which I kind of understand. Like I would still probably be watching Power Rangers if they kept it exactly the same, and instead they went like Lost in Space. They went like too far from the original format.
That's when I went off the rails.
Yeah, that's in my opinion, that's when, I mean, of course I grew up or whatever, and that has something to do with me like leaving it. But like when it went into Lost in Space, like, okay, you guys are jumping over the alien shark now.
I will say, I mean, I was kind of indifferent when I seen it. I didn't know what people were expecting, but I will also say the first pictures for anything is going to look weird. Think about it, like last year, people got ticked off at Apocalypse looking weird, and people also got ticked off at Suicide Squad looking weird in their first picture, or whatever, and Joker. Now everyone is pretty much
Don't forget Kylo Ren. When his first photo shoot for, I forget which
Entertainment
magazine.
Weekly, I think.
Huh?
Entertainment Weekly, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So people didn't like them, and then when the trailers came out, they were pretty much like on the side of the character. So I didn't know exactly what people were expecting. I mean, I know I'm glad the colors stayed the same. That's the biggest thing. I was really afraid that they were gonna try and just be random with it, or make it more a unified theme, because I mean it would make it easier for nowadays for people to relate, for you to relate. And then I mean it's like you can only do so much because you're trying to pay homage to like the older franchise, but bring in new people too. So I would have to just see the suits in action, and it's going to be heavily CGI anyway. So it's not like I'm worried about the movement. Like it's literally going to be they're going to do a punch, and then they have to pan the camera out, and then show what's like.
I mean, but at the same time, like I just like knowing that there's people in the suits, because you can tell the difference when someone is CGI versus, and it's somewhat like a extension of disbelief. And of course we know that there's going to be CGI, but it's like, can you really imagine like that suit doing like multiple flips and kicks? Like that's where I'm coming from with it.
I figured.
I am one of the people who doesn't like them, so the new costume so much. I do like the Black Ranger, and I do like the Yellow Ranger's costume, and it's not because they're the ones who originally wore white. No, so sort of my issue with them is I guess it's mostly focused at the pink and the blue ranger. The pink ranger, her head looks disproportionate to me. I'm looking at the picture right now. It looks disproportionate to me. It looks like it's like too long and too big for the body, and so it just looks kind of silly. Also, both women are wearing wedges for absolutely no reason, like heels, if you don't know.
Wouldn't the pink one's head kind of have to be longer, being that she's a pterodactyl?
Shut up, Troy. I do hate her so much.
Just saying, if you want to be.
Honestly, the designs to me feel sort of like out of like early 2000, maybe like early Halo Master Chief designs a little bit. They just feel a little bit too reminiscent of other sources at the moment. But I will say that. Also, I wanted to say the Blue Ranger sort of reminds me of Ivan Ooze for some reason from the first Power Rangers.
Where's my autograph book?
Where's my autograph?
But I will say that, as Troy was saying, a lot of times with these early photos, especially for these press photos, you get sort of a bad impression of the costumes. And so I'm not going to base my opinion of this movie, as so many people are already doing, on like an early CGI photo.
Yeah, no.
You know.
And it's a Power Rangers movie, you guys. Yeah. Like, it's not friggin'.
also, the women don't need to be wearing heels.
The women don't need to be wearing. But okay, so my only thing with the heels is I kind of remember when I played Smash Brothers, Zero Suit Samus, but she does have rocks in them, and
they are functional.
They are, exactly. So if that is the case with this, like if there's like,
it's not.
You don't know that.
That's the price of fashion.
Fashion hurts. That's my man.
Fashion over comfort.
But yeah, I mean, I'm still looking. There's nothing. I'm gonna see the movie. So
absolutely. Are you kidding? It's Power Rangers.
All right, now for Save Point, our video game news and reviews. I'll be covering all the topics today. Going to make it really quick, and let's go. First, we are talking about the Overwatch beta. It was released Thursday. It's a first-person action shooter with a heavy emphasis on multiplayer. The characters you get to play as are colorful, cartoony, and come in all different shapes and sizes with their own abilities to boot. The arenas are fun, it's competitive, but you have to focus on helping the team to win as each character has an ability to support the team in their own special, unique way. I will say the graphics seem toned down a bunch for playing it on Xbox One compared to PC. And I know that's the usual thing because it's PC. But it's toned down so much that I can kind of see this on Wii U.
Ooh.
Not like the pixels or whatever, but like just like the colors. I'm like, yo, this game would kind of be awesome on Wii U playing with the gamepad and the abilities that people have. Shut up. Otherwise, it is in beta form. I think it comes out later this month. So it's been cool to play. Like it's here up until Monday. So if you guys want to go out, it's on PlayStation 4, PC, Xbox One. Literally, just go right to your main homepage, and it's like the first thing that pops up. Everyone should try it. Cool. Also, there was Call of Duty: Infinity Warfare finally released its trailer. So that happened. But Battlefield 1 reveal came out today as well. Yeah, so it's Call of Duty's rival. It finally released its trailer for the 5th coming game in the series. It's supposed to be released October 21st and is set in World War I. Now, the cool thing about this game now is that there's battles for land, air, and sea. They never really approached sea before, so you kind of have like this whole battleship range going on. The places you get to fight are in France, Italy, and Arabian Desert as of right now. The claim to fame with Battlefield is that you can have 64 players in a game at once, so it actually feels like a war. And the cool thing about their system now is that what I really didn't like about Battlefield 4 is you would just drop in and you would just get signed up automatically with the team, but you can actually drop in. Now you can team up with 4 people and it becomes a squadron, and you can drop into a team anytime you want. I mean, drop into a game with your 4 friends anytime you want. So it's kind of, you never feel like totally out on your own and just get sniped out every 3 seconds you get played. So that's cool. Nice. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is that the pre-orders, if you pre-order the game, it includes the Harlem Hellfighter pack. The significance about them is that they were the 369th Infantry Regiment, which were soldiers in the Army National Guard that saw action in World War I and II, consisting of only Puerto Ricans and African Americans. And it's cool because on the cover, it literally has a Harlem Hellfighter. It's like a black dude holding a pistol and like this weird mace type thing. And predominantly when we come to these war games, you only see like a stock guy, or in Call of Duty case, like a white dude and more. So it's kind of cool to just see how willing they're trying to be different. That's the main thing I like kind of Battlefield over Civil War. I mean, well, not Civil War, of Call of Duty, is because they actually tried to make their games different as opposed to rehashing this Infinity Warfare BS, which is another futuristic game on their end. And here's the dumb thing, I wanted to rant on this really quick. I was going to avoid it. But it's so dumb because Call of Duty, in response to everyone being mad that their new franchises copy completely off of Titanfall, making all their games futuristic. They were like, "Oh well, we're gonna couple this with the remastered version of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1." Who wants that? I mean, other than the idiots that play the game and what. But that is the laziest thing. And why would y'all keep doing that? So I can't. The Call of Duty for me will always get flack for me because they always just. It's like the Madden of shooting games where they just add 2 new features and they expect people to think it's a brand new game. If you think I'm gonna pay $50 for that, no, I'm sorry.
Well, you're gonna pay. Well, you're not gonna.
I'm not gonna.
But like millions and millions.
The drones of racist 12-year-olds are gonna.
Every single year.
So yeah, but that's for Safeway for this week. But seriously, everyone go try Overwatch beta. It's free. You literally get to play it till Monday. Try it out. The characters are very interesting. It's literally like all races. You can play with a monkey too, and like it's fun. It's just like I thought it's fun for first-person shooters anyway.
And also, if you do like Call of Duty, no shade, y'all go have fun.
Just don't be racist on there. Just stop being racist. It doesn't help anybody's thing. I just seen this Vine where the other day where this dude was like, he was like, yeah, just no scope to me, ass. And the kid was like, keep messing with me, I'll blow your house up. And he goes, yeah, all right. Then he looks to his Xbox and it blows up the house.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, and that's real. This SWAT, people actually call the SWAT teams on people just because they lost in a friggin', like seriously. And what makes it worse is that Activision and Call of Duty won't do nothing about it. They know this is a big problem with them. And that's why I can't stand their company. They're
as
like
long as people still pay for their games, they don't
exactly.
care.
It's like Michael Jordan with the shoes. Michael Jordan is cool with reselling these Jordans over and over each year, while niggas is actually niggas is actually shooting people over shoes, but he don't want to take responsibility for that. Although that's a very big problem. It's the same with Call of Duty.
And as much as I love Marvel, but they cast a white woman as an Asian man, just to protect their bottom line. Didn't care about how people felt about it. So,
is that they don't?
Everybody's doing. Everybody's doing better. Do better.
It's 2016, man. You got Beyonce put out Lemonade. Drake putting out Snooze Fest in the 6. I'm done. All right, I'm done. I'm sorry.
All right, rant over. We're scaring a certain demographic.
No one's gonna listen to the rest of this episode.
Right.
We love everybody.
We do, you guys. It's not that.
My grandma's white.
Yeah, Sean's grandma's white. I love her. All right, now go ahead.
On to graphic novel must-reads, where we tell you the comic that you must read, or face the Sokovia Accord papers. Okay, so so I read Captain America: Castaway in Dimension Z. The story is due to Amim Zola. Captain America is stranded on a dangerous alien territory known as Dimension Z, as he fights the savage barbarians of Phlox. He's far from home and has to use his wit and strength to face great threats, all the while protecting a young boy from the dangers of the world. So I just a quick kind of recap as to why I decided to do this. After watching, the first 2 Captain America films, easily Captain America has become my favorite Marvel superhero. I just relate to him in a way that I didn't expect, and perhaps that's why I feel like such a strong connection to him. So I wanted to actually go out and pick up my very first Marvel comic, like by myself. Like my brother has had some throughout the years, but I've never gone out to a comic book store and said, hey, let me get this Marvel comic book. So I decided on Castaway in Dimension Z because I was thinking of doing Civil War or doing Winter Soldier, but the context that I feel like personally as a fanboy of DC Comics is required for these event type of books is a bit large. So I wanted something that felt self-contained. And literally this is a book about Captain America going to like this alternate territory where there's not an abundance of characters. It's just him on this strange world, saving this boy and fighting these alien creatures. So it's definitely a high concept sci-fi type of story, which I felt like might have not went well with a Captain America story. That's not what I think of when I think of Captain America. But at the same time, there's still this kind of throwback to Jack Kirby. For those not in the know, think, Silver Surfer, New Gods, Darkseid, that level of like terrestrial craziness essentially, but Jack Kirby could pull it off so well. And Rick Remender, who is the writer of this story, did a fantastic job of kind of embodying that era. And pushing Captain America's story at the same time, because there's this plot point of it doing these flashbacks to his childhood that deals with his mother and father and growing up not in the best conditions. I thought that it was going to go kind of the stereotypical route with the abusive father and then the kind of weak mother, quote unquote. But the strength that his mother has is represented in himself, and that type of connection is honestly what I live for when it comes to stories. Like, that's what I loved about the first Captain America movie, is because it was put so simply about him fighting bullies in whatever form that they come in. And with this, him carrying that same strength of his mother through the adversity that she faces allows him to take something simple and then extend it to something that, you know, goes into very deep depths. So the story was great. The art was really good. It was done by Romita Jr., very, very famous guy.
Yes.
And overall, I definitely recommend it. I also like the inclusion of he is traveling with this boy named Ian, and he really does see him as his son, which in my writer's mind allowed him to kind of survive in this world, because he is essentially by himself. And so he's both able to somewhat repair the sins of his own father by taking on this boy as his son, while also giving him something bigger to live for. Because when you're out on your own, you might think that you might lose sight of what you're doing this for, but having this boy to take care of and to kind of create a purpose for yourself allows Captain America to survive. So it was a definite good read.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Sean is proud of you that you finally picked up.
I am so proud of you. I know that it was hard for you, and I know that it was a big moment, and I know that, like, the time when I went to the record store the first time to buy a Linkin Park album, and I was sweating because I felt like I wasn't allowed to be in that aisle. I'm sure that you felt the same way, and I'm so proud that you conquered your fears.
Thank you. And that actually does mean a pretty big deal to me, because I literally like went up to the Captain America like Marvel section and spent, I'm not kidding you, a half an hour like going through each book, like, oh, this book was set in this time period, so it might have been from a different storyline, or this one seems too recent and too kind of muddled. And so it was a lot for me to like figure out which one I thought would be best, and I kept going back and forth. So I'm proud of myself too.
For what it's worth, you were a greater authority on Captain America now than I am, because until I think Winter Soldier, I was not a fan of Captain America. So
cool.
Yes, you're the resident Cap authority on this show.
I will wear a cap of Captain America.
No, stop. No, stop it. No, stop it. Stop it.
Or else I get capped.
Please, like Captain America.
Put a cap on that.
Please. All right, now it's time for Netflix and Kill. This is our weekly reviews of recent movies and TV. This will be our Civil War section. Civil War! Now we are going to approach this just like we did with Batman vs. Superman, where the first 10 minutes, hopefully, will be basically no spoilers. After that, the rest of the show will be spoiler filled, including our Battle of the Birds question. So if you have not seen the movie, we will give you well enough time to let you not click over this. With that said, Sean, go ahead.
All right. So to those uninitiated, Civil War basically tells the story of Captain America and Iron Man arguing over whether or not heroes should sign the Sokovia Accords, which are a set of internationally ratified legal documents that provide regulation and frameworking for the military and law enforcement deployment of enhanced individuals, particularly the Avengers. So what that essentially means is that it makes this document makes superheroes government entities who function more like police or military, so that they can be better regulated by the government to try to reduce the amount of unintended destruction that heroes cause in their efforts to save the world. So that is sort of a quick rundown, a very, very quick rundown of the basic plot of the film. There's also other stuff going on.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I liked it. I loved it. Actually, I'm not gonna say I liked it. No, it was dope. It was as dope as I thought it was going to be. I mean, there were scenes that obviously stood out to me a lot more than I did. What about you guys?
I mean, go ahead.
Go ahead.
It definitely exceeded my expectations. I was definitely worried going into this that that it was going to take a big hit, honestly, and it did not. For the most part, all of my concerns were addressed. Thankfully, like the whole don't want to spoil anything, but how they were able to balance the amount of characters in this story. Yes. They did a very good job of rationing it out so that Captain America, the Bucky storyline, remained very focal.
Yeah,
agreed. I think they did a really good job of balancing what was happening, who it was happening to, and telling that story in a cohesive way that was easy to follow. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I have to say about this movie is that it is in no way a Captain America film. It is purely a Marvel film. And if anything, it's an Avengers film. But to me, it should have been titled Marvel's Civil War, not Captain America Civil War. And that is not a shot at Captain America's storyline. It's just that the film's focus was not solely on him. A good 40% of it was Iron Man, and then the rest was split between the various characters who miraculously, I think, had individual storylines and individual growth better than actually Avengers: Age of Ultron. And so I was very impressed with how the Russo brothers pulled that off.
Oh, yes, and definitely shout out to the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
Once again, Russo brothers may be the best thing that Marvel, like the best thing kept hidden secret that Marvel's had, and they should be thankful that they were able to bring Captain America and what they've done.
Absolutely.
With these movies, because obviously people weren't crazy ecstatic about Ultron, so like their recovery for this was this movie, and they definitely did their thing and made all the excuses and hiccups that were done in Ultron, even like they fixed them all in this movie. It was there for them to go from where they started and for them to be now taking care of this and the two Infinity. Well, they're not even, that's the other news. The Avengers, the next two Avenger movies aren't going to be called Infinity War anymore. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be taking care of those. I mean, directing those two movies, but I know they're going to be great movies because their record so far is amazing.
The action scene directing has been just like
fantastic.
They are on another level. Like when it comes to like the specific choreography of everything, and it's so ingenious how they use their surroundings, and even from the style of camera work that they use for specific scenes, and how the entire like premise of their fight scenes are just genius. I'd put them at the absolute top right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh. It was the inventiveness of the fight scenes in environments where there shouldn't have been anything to be inventive with was just stunning to me.
They are right under Matthew Vaughn. Matthew Vaughn directed Kingsman, and he directed the first Kick-Ass, and he directed X-Men First Class. And mind you, X-Men First Class they didn't have a bunch of fight scenes, but to me, standout wise, I mean, Russos are just as like they are rarely really really good, but I do know they actually called in the people that directed the John Wick movie to help them with their action scenes, especially I know the stairwell scene. I know they had like heavy input in that.
That's where my mind went with that stairwell scene.
Yeah, so
they tried it. They didn't pull a Daredevil, but they did try.
They tried. So, but no, otherwise, the balance. Back to the balance of the cast. Everyone fit perfectly into place what they needed to be. I think Hawkeye kind of got maybe a little bit of the short end of the stick, but I mean,
he always has.
Yeah, but wait, I mean, like, what can you do with him? So I mean, otherwise, though, no, that movie, it's cool to see. This is officially the end of Phase 3. So their next movies that are coming out this are going on to Phase 4. So this was like the best button that they could have put on with that.
Yeah, I do want to say, because this was not a perfect movie. No movie is perfect. I have been sort of complaining about Marvel's joke style for a while, and I will say that this was a fairly serious film, but there were some jokes in there that I didn't think needed to be there at all, and just kind of like threw me off as like, why did you just like, this is a totally inappropriate time for that.
It's funny because like speaking of it made me feel like with Black Panther there's no jokes, and I kind of felt like when Black Panther was there, he was how the audience felt. It was like, don't joke about it.
Like this is not now to be clear, there are certain characters, one in particular, that are allowed to joke in these situations, and that's appropriate, but it just doesn't always work.
So, cool. All right, so now we can get into our spoilers, which will be very frantic. So once again, please, actually, good note is we're gonna have timestamps on this as well. So if you look in the description, it'll give you an idea of where to go to if you want to continue on. And with that said, let's get into these spoilers.
Countdown, 3, 2, 1.
No, all right, so so yes, this guys, first and foremost, let's do the biggest spoiler just so we can get out the way. Bucky murdered Tony Stark's parents, bro. I'm like, they showed this scene twice. It was in the beginning, they were like, there's a significance to this scene, and at the end where they brought it all around, I thought that was so
I honestly like pieced that together, like when I saw that footage, just because I like paying attention to nuances of characters, and with Tony Stark, he's always had this thing with cars, like he's always the one driving, as a result of his parents' death, and with this focusing on the Winter Soldier and him taking out this vehicle, but we never see who's in the vehicle. It didn't feel like it wasn't some big like espionage, like super secret. It felt like on a personal level, and so I just kind of made this guess, like, could that possibly be that? And yes, it indeed was, which was crazy.
So what were you guys, some of your favorite moments in the movie? I mean, mine was like, obviously the Black Panther intro. That entire chase scene was dope.
Yeah.
And it was just, I'm like the main person, and well, mind you, the theater I've seen it, and it was like 90% Black people. So everyone was like so happy to see him almost taking Bucky's head off. What about you guys?
So I have a few. One, a very unexpected moment was Tom Holland as Peter Parker and Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. Their moment when they meet and they kind of get to talk in Peter's bedroom. The chemistry between them was not expected, and it was I don't know, it really touched me. It felt like a real like father-son relationship. It felt organic. It felt genuine. And I believe those two in that situation together. And I'm more willing to accept Tony Stark in the future Spider-Man film. Another favorite moment was Ant-Man's opposite potential. We've already seen him shrink between the atoms, but now he's grown, which I don't think a lot of people who aren't familiar with comics would have had any idea that Ant-Man, the guy who comes the size of an ant, also becomes freaking huge. And then all of a sudden, he's like this tank. He's just like a huge problem for everybody. And Captain America's team goes from hugely at a disadvantage with the exception of Scarlet Witch, who is a boss. And I told y'all that she's a boss, and I told you she would handle that whole situation, and she did.
You're right. But, send him to the ground.
like all the way, like to the core.
And I thought it was funny when Ant-Man did that, and Iron Man was like, "Does anybody on the team have any special superpowers you're gonna bring up in this film?"
Any extraordinary special abilities?
Yeah. That was hilarious.
And then I think my personal favorite part of it wasn't a specific moment, but my personal favorite part of the film was that even though there were a lot of funny jokes that I'm just not here for at all, Anthony Mackie's delivery of his jokes, they felt so natural, they felt appropriate to the moment. He's like this sarcastic Black dude with a straight face, and so him saying like, "Oh, so we're just gonna pretend none of that happened with Bucky trying to kill everybody." He just says that out of the blue. Or when he reads the form that says what was confiscated from him, and it says bird costume, like all of that was like organic. It wasn't forced. It was in moments that made sense, and that was just another moment that sold me on Anthony Mackie in this universe as Falcon, and maybe as future Captain America.
Yeah. Mine would definitely be that Black Panther scene. Honestly, I just love how Black Panther would not let it go. Like he's like, I will follow you to the ends of the earth to kill you.
Yeah, the accent was the oh my, it was I was so happy he had the accent because I was like, initially I thought right in the beginning when Elizabeth Olsen talks, I'm like, yo, I thought she lost her accent too.
Yeah, me too for a second.
Yeah.
But no, she had it there. So it's cool, like the diversity is that deep to where it's just not a bunch of Americanized characters of these people.
Another thing I want to say about Black Panther is that I appreciate that when he found out the truth, when he found out that Bucky, the Winter Soldier, was not responsible for killing his father, that he was able to forgive, because so often in these movies, you get this character who just can't let go of the truth that they now know as an absolute fact. And then they go off on this tirade and then like ruin the world accidentally. He was able to forgive. He was even able to, almost forgive Baron Zemo, who was the real villain of the film.
Yes.
In a way, this is
right. He didn't let him die, so
exactly. Which I don't know if that was I don't know if that was like ultimate punishment, because now you have to face up to what you did. But he could have been illogical and just killed him in that moment and then been done and been tortured for the rest of his life. But you see a little glimmer of the kind of person that he is,
and like the person that his father wanted him
exactly.
to be.
He's a good man deep down.
I also loved the Steve, Bucky, Falcon kind of dynamic, because like
it was great.
Honest, like that's what I wanted for this movie. And like I probably came off as a bit like bitter when it came to Civil War, and I wasn't like super excited because like I was really looking for like almost like a buddy cop with drama type of stuff, and like the whole like Bucky being in the backseat, like, hey, can you move your chest? No, like that's the type of humor that this type of film like requires.
And then when Steve made out with the
and they looked at no, like just them. Bucky and Sam just fighting for his affection was just like, it was almost like adorable to me. It's like, no, I'm his best friend now. You're not his best friend anymore.
You're old news.
And then the moment when they both get stuck by Spider-Man and they're just stuck together,
and he's like, I
hate you.
He said you couldn't do that from the beginning. And
he's like, I hate you. Speaking of Spider-Man, though.
Well, actually, before you get into Spider-Man,
okay, go ahead.
I just want to say I would love to see another Captain America movie with just them, with a focus on them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, please.
But
all right, now we're at Spider-Man, and I can't let this go.
All right.
So that is the man, Spider-Man. Peter Parker is the man who is allowed to tell as many jokes as he wants during a fight, whether they are appropriate
He's
or not.
supposed to.
Because number one, he's like 15. He has no concept of how serious this is. The choreography for his fight scenes, which were purely CGI, clearly. Yes. Though it was just gorgeous. The Russo brothers got down the creativity of Spider-Man like fabulously when he was attached to War Machine. That part when he took down giant Ant-Man.
The Star Wars joke.
Yeah, the Star Wars joke, exactly. And he's like this really old movie. Empire Strikes Back. Because again, he's like 15. But then I think my favorite moment, it's weird, was another moment between him and Iron Man when after Spider-Man takes down Ant-Man and he just kind of is knocked out on the ground and he's trying to get back up. He wants to get back in the fight, and Iron Man's like, "You're done. Go sit there. You're done. You helped so much. Thank you so much for your help, but you're a kid and you need to have a seat."
He said, "I want to go." He said, "I'm telling Aunt May, go home."
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm, I guess, playing a little devil's advocate or Ethan advocate, if you will. Same difference. I honestly, the Spider-Man portion was my least favorite. Not necessarily because of its execution, but because it felt to me a little displaced, and it took me out of the film. It like going from the scene before Spider-Man and Tony Stark have that conversation, it takes me into this different world, which I probably wouldn't have minded in if this was titled Marvel's Civil War. But going from like these stark tonal changes didn't feel natural for me.
Sorry, was that a pun?
I wasn't going to mention it, but yes. It took me out of it a little bit, like with the intensity, like with Winter Soldier. Like if like they kept that level all the way through until the finish. Whereas with this, it kind of had an ebb and flow, which didn't feel all the way natural for me. It almost felt like they were doing, like, of course, they definitely had to explain Spider-Man's involvement in this world. How long has he been here? Why haven't we talked about him before? Which they did. They answered all of those questions with him kind of being seen as like this urban legend type of deal, which I'm completely on board for. At the same time, it still came off to me as like, you know, promotion for his film, which of course that's what Marvel does. They're always trying to shop the next film, but with Winter Soldier and how it felt so very much in its own world, like I was able to be okay with the fact that there were so many other heroes, because it still felt like it fit within Captain America, because in Age of Ultron, Cap becomes the leader of the Avengers, so of course he's still with his team. So that makes sense. But with this, it kind of caused me to stretch my imagination to a place where it didn't feel natural.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I do get what you mean. I don't personally agree, but I do see your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
When I rewatch the movie and I'm not next to a guy who is like reacting to every third second of a thing that happens, whoa, whoa, that's my man Falcon, yeah. And it's like, oh my God, I don't want to sit next to you anymore. Please go away. But so when I do see it again, I will pay attention to that sort of thing, just to see that, see if I agree in the future.
Yeah.
I do, real quick, I do want to mention, I really like the Scarlet Witch and Vision stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In two such relatively short scenes, I believe that they were building sort of a friendship, in the sense that they are sort of so different from the rest of the world and from the rest of all of these people on this team who, with the exception of Spider-Man, do not have any powers.
Yeah.
They are not sort of supernatural. They're not superhuman. So I really like that. I do want to complain about one more thing.
Before you can do it, I didn't want to say some stuff about Spider-Man really quick.
Sorry.
All right, I will say it was kind of cool. Like I see what you mean, like Ethan. I wish maybe there was like maybe one more scene where like you just see him at like where we get an idea of Tom and him being a kid by interacting with like maybe the students of his school, and him leaving to go to the home or whatever, just so we can get a little bit more basis of everything. Because I had to kind of tell my mom, well, I was seen it with my mom, that hey, that's Peter Parker or whatever, that's Spider-Man or whatever. And then
right.
But I will say I did get hyped when they were showing like the cities of things, and they said Queens, and I was like, oh no, Spider-Man. But two more things about Spider-Man. One, I kind of wish that last fight was maybe in a city. I mean, it obviously doesn't make any sense because people can die, whatever. But it would have been shown. We would have been able to do maybe a bit more stuff with Spider-Man. Like as far as
he did a lot, though.
He did a lot though, but like in a city with his abilities, it kind of fits more. But that's just me. That's just me. And then my third thing. Okay, so one critique I will say about Spider-Man is that there was a moment where he was fighting. This is like a personal, just my own opinion. If I was into storytelling, there was a fight between him and Captain America, and Captain America like obviously wins the fight, but he's beating him, and then like mind you can't tell that he's a kid, right? But as he's beating him, like he knows he's a kid. So I thought there was going to be some cool dynamic where Steve would have beat him, and then he would have realized he was a kid, and then he would have got ticked off at Iron Man for recruiting a kid to come fight. To fight a team of superheroes, and it's only been him in the 6 months. That's what I thought they were gonna go. I mean, they didn't, but that's just my own personal critique. But
we did talk about this last night, and I was saying that I thought that was a moment of like starting to see the Captain America is not the Boy Scout anymore.
Exactly, yeah, because this Captain America and Captain America First Avenger are two completely different people. So
yeah.
All right.
I wanted to make one more critique, and that was that the CGI on not only Spider-Man but also on Black Panther felt very unfinished.
Thank you.
It didn't feel sharp.
I thought I was the only person that noticed that.
It didn't feel sharp. It looked like CGI, and it looked like it needed like another 2 months in editing and in production on those points, and that kind of threw me off. The motion was fine. Yes. The motion was fine, but visually, just the way they looked in costume. Both were a little too bright. The lighting seemed like it was off, and I don't know, they just didn't seem naturally like they were existing in that same world.
Especially his Black Panther's fight with Captain America is very noticeable.
Exactly.
It's a CGI character.
Yeah,
right,
I agree.
And just so for last question, what do y'all think about Marvel's future, like what they should attack next and things like that?
Go ahead, Ethan.
I'm very hopeful about their future. Like, what I really want to stress about this film is probably the main thing that I liked about it was its theme of politics versus moral ethics, and whether those two are mutually exclusive. I feel like it raised a lot of good and realistic points, and I feel like this helped to fight against kind of the Marvel concept that's put on them, which is that they are lighter, which is that they are funnier, and Captain America has always kind of been that beacon of truthfulness. And this film definitely posed questions, which to me are more important sometimes than answers. Like the whole situation with the United Nations and them being the ones to ultimately decide whether the Avengers go into a country or not. But it's not as simple as, oh, these people need restrictions, because they themselves can be restricted by their own influence of what's best for them. So it's not this easy cut and dry type of story. It's very gray. Yeah. So I think just in terms of thematically, I hope that they kind of continue down this path of real life consequences.
Right. I am liking where Marvel is going right now, kind of moving away from the happy-go-lucky world that was up until Avengers: Age of Ultron. I'm liking that they're going darker organically, not forcing it. It does feel like they've naturally arrived at this conclusion.
True.
Bad things are starting to happen. The team is falling apart. And I'm liking that it seems like they're going to allow this sort of situation to grow naturally in the future. I'm hoping that they keep on the Russo brothers for literally every movie they ever do forever, because I want to see more great action. I want to see them evolve. I want to see their directing style evolve. And I want to see those corny, unnecessary jokes die. I don't care if you think there needs to be a joke every 14 seconds. It's not true.
If I were to say anything, I just have two short things. One, they really got to pull up the women in these movies. Yeah. As much as I loved Scarlet Witch, I kind of wish she had a bit more development in the movie, to at least maybe one more scene. Black Widow, they kind of just does Black Widow things every movie now. And what's it, Agent 13? She was in the movie, but like literally for like
not really.
Kind of just like it was a weird ploy for her. Yeah. And the other thing they have to do for me is they've got to make Thanos like the most scariest villain in like the absolute world. They have to, because mind you, I like Baron Zemo. Like he was an intellectual type thing, and his plot was revenge. And obviously, he's not the most skilled fighter, but he had his own little thing. And his ultimate plan to break them two up and to get them two to fight at the end was a dope thing. And I'm kind of glad they didn't kill him off, because now they'll be able to tell another story with him. Because I actually do like the actor. He was in this movie called Race with him and Chris Hemsworth, and he was amazing in. But yeah, with Thanos, they gotta make him they gotta make me worried about him. So,
yeah, agree.
I also agree. Now, before we close out this segment, I do on the Batman vs Superman episode, I made a grand declaration that Civil War would not be better than BVS, and I guess I have to address that now. I still like Batman vs Superman a tiny bit.
Oh shit! Way to go like that.
As the Marvel guy, I did like it a tiny bit better, but I think that's only because it was a different storytelling style, and whereas Civil War was the one that I'm used to now. That is not an indictment on Civil War by any stretch of the imagination at all. That is just an advocation to appreciate a film, whether other people like it or not. Now, I will say there was one thing that Civil War did definitely do better, and that was tell a clear, coherent story in the first third to half. But at the same time, there was criticism of BVS that it was slow in that same segment. But the truth is, Civil War was also similarly slow in the first third-ish after the initial battle sequence, where you see how why the Sokovia Papers even come up. So I don't think you can criticize one and not the other. I don't think that's fair. But I would put them very close to each other. I'd probably put I think I'd put BVS as my third favorite superhero movie. I'd probably put Civil War at like 3.1. I can't even give it a full 4. So like a 3.1. That's how close I think they were. I think they were both great movies. And yeah, I love Civil War, and I'm super excited for the future.
So yes, Blerd Culture approved. Absolutely. Please go see this movie again and again. I mean, you're going to anyway. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I like for me, it as dark as it got. Like I took my mom to see it, and she enjoyed the mess out of it. So
it always has like a light to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And now for Bout of the Bloods. This is our question of the week section where we battle to the death. This week's question is with T'Challa being a clear standout of the movie Civil War and his after credit scene showing the future of Wakanda, who would you want to cameo in the Black Panther movie?
Black Widow.
Humphrey, any elaboration on that?
No, honestly, first of all, I think that Black Widow deserves her own film, but that's another story entirely. The reason I would like to see Black Widow cameo in a Black Panther film is because I think Black Panther and Black Widow's fighting styles complement each other beautifully, and whether they're fighting with each other or against each other, I think that the potential for choreography would be spectacular. But then on top of that, I think there were a lot of missed opportunities in Civil War to showcase Black Widow more. Black Panther actually wasn't as involved in the big Team Cap versus Team Iron Man fight as I would have liked to see, and I was waiting for like a big grand Black Panther versus Black Widow fight in there. It wouldn't have, wait, no, they were on the same team. Wait, sorry.
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, I would have. I don't know. I would have liked to see. I just would have liked to see some more interaction between those two, like when she was stopping Black Panther from stopping Steve and Bucky from getting on the plane. I would have liked to see an actual fight rather than her just stunning him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have minded her overpowering him just for a second. He's a new hero. She's been doing this for a minute. It would have been believable. So I would just like to see more of her, and I would like to see her in that movie, in that Black Panther movie.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I guess I'll go second. I honestly would like to see War Machine. I kind of I know they're not going to dig into the story of him being like recovering with like the whole paralysis thing, and mind you, they don't have to do a whole storytelling bit of thing. But I remember there was a storyline where War Machine kind of got stuck. I mean, he obviously is dependent on his suit to still be a hero, so it would be kind of cool to just see him be more than, I mean, not more than a sidekick character, but just I like Don Cheadle a lot, and he, if anyone has gotten the short end of the stick in these movies, it's literally him. He doesn't appear.
Absolutely.
He doesn't appear in much of these things, so it would kind of be cool. And then the fact that he's been like a veteran, he's an older character than Black Panther. You can kind of not necessarily be like a father figure, but like an uncle figure type to Chadwick Boseman's exactly Chadwick Boseman's character and helping out from there. So I think it would be a dope appearance by him.
Yeah. Okay, so with mine, I'm not really going to follow like the rules in terms of like, you know, what movie studio owns what, but
So
I will say
you're disqualified.
You're disqualified.
that's fine. I'm going to go with Storm.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
You didn't say the stipulations at the beginning.
You're right.
You said, who do you want to see crossover in the Black Panther film?
You're right.
That would be a perfect time to bring them together.
This is
Come
true.
Yeah. You know, like I don't fully know their story, but just the iconography of those two together and the powerful nature of both these very powerful Black characters being at the, you know, very top of the comic book industry, then also having, and not necessarily saying that they have to have an instant union, but kind of seeing them together and having, you know, Storm of course would have her own storyline and motivation as it pertains to his film, but I just feel like it would be a very iconic moment to see these two on screen.
I will take that if we only cast Lupita Nyong'o as Storm.
Okay.
Oh, can you imagine? That would be the most beautiful couple, literally. But like that would.
Did y'all know Chadwick Boseman is 39 years old?
Yeah, which I can't even handle because I said this before. Like,
how
he looks like he just stepped off the campus of an HBCU. Like he just graduated from Howard last week.
Exactly. So. Man, Ethan, yeah, I think you won that round.
Well, no, time out. No, it's not that simple. Wait.
Okay.
Here's why. In the Black Panther film, I want a Black Panther film. I would love for a sequel to be called Black Panther and Storm. I want a sequel, and I want to tell the story of their relationship, of what they've been through. And I want it to be a two-person story.
Kind of like how Ant-Man and the Wasp were doing.
Exactly. Same sort of thing. Except with Black people. I love that idea, but I want it to be a film dedicated to
that's actually
to
a very good point.
And so I will real quick back to Civil War, an honorable mention. I love seeing this many Black characters on film.
Yes,
Falcon.
Although I was very worried one of them was going to die.
Yes,
it was very like I say this all the time. It wasn't forced. It just
these are just natural.
These just happen to be three extremely major Black characters in Marvel. They just they just happen to be Black.
Yeah.
And no Black jokes either. Where there was like no awkward and one. So it was kind of it was so Okay, well we'll let the listeners choose who wins this one because that was a good point. You saved yourself because I was definitely about to just give that to you. I was like, I want to see that movie, but
just stole my wig. I can't believe it.
Hilarious.
I'll take the edges too, please.
Hilarious.
Not my edges. Leave me with something.
All right, so that wraps up our issue number 5 of Blerd Culture. Remember to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, like us on Facebook, and rate our show on iTunes, if you will. Pretty soon, we're going to be giving out prizes for ratings, so stay tuned for that. And we will be back in 2 weeks' time with issue number 6. Also, we're recording this on Comic Book Day, so technically we're going to put it up the day after, but definitely just go out and buy a comic, you guys. It's a wonderful time for comic book movies right now. We literally have 3 more coming out. And in 3 weeks' time, we're going to be reviewing X-Men.
Yay! That's the best part of Marvel.
Yeah.
Wait, does Sean like it? I'm confused.
So, this is Troy signing off.
This is Ethan. See you later.
And I'm Sean, and I'm not seeing you anymore today. Bye.
Peace.